Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you once again. Thank you for your company this morning to the regular Sunday morning talk, Dharma talk of the Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra. Uh, Today, the topic is the truth of the cessation, the third noble truth. If you have had chance to watch the first two um, talks on this series, that would be good. Even if you didn't have, just I suggest you have a look at that. Then this will fit in very well. Of course, if you didn't have time to watch that, but you can still listen to this and then make connection with the first two later. So this is part of the talk on Four Noble Truth of the suffering, truth of the origin of suffering, truth of the cessation of the suffering, and then the truth of the path that makes the cessation possible. So Buddha's, all of the Buddha's teachings, whether it's Mahayana or Theravada or even Vajrayana, you can intersect all facets of teaching with the framework of Four Noble Truths, because Buddha likened his teachings as a cure for the sickness. So the truth of suffering is the sickness, and in order for you to become free of the sickness, you have to give up the cause of the sickness. So the ability to become free of the sickness, you follow the path, which is the medication, and then truth of cessation. The third truth is the result, which is the recovery, complete recovery. So today's topic is very positive because it is recovery or complete cessation of the suffering. That there is a false notion of what people think is cessation. They have so that's what the truth of cessation is showing. There's a false, dreaded false kind of depiction of what they think is cessation. So there are mistaken views as if there is no liberation. So there's a nihilism, and others who is eternalism. They say there is a eternalism that is achieving the contaminated sort of view of existence of liberation. Whereas there are other views who wrongly view that liberated self becomes the abundant liberation, or very superb form of liberation. So there are many such wrong views. There are mistaken views in relation to this truth of cessation. In order to counteract this, the truth of cessation, the Buddha taught, is going to prevent these wrong views and correct those wrong views. And of course, the truth of cessation is the result of the third noble truth, the truth of cessation, nirodha. Nirodha meaning cessation or prevention. The prevention meaning cessation. The cessation comes from the ceasing its cause. So the truth of cessation is caused by the following the path, which is the fourth noble truth, which will be the next topic. But today's topic is on the truth of cessation. Truth of cessation meaning it is true cessation. It is not kind of a false cessation. There's quite a lot of people seek to prevent a problem, and they think it's a true cessation, when it's actually a false cessation. When they can say, for people, they think they can conquer enemy, they kill few of them, and they think that's a great victory. They think that's a true cessation. They think now all the enemies stop. They don't realize they will regroup and attack you again. So they are not the true That's not the true cessation. So the true cessation is the true cessation meaning actual cessation of the two Ks, klesha and karma. You have to cessation of klesha and karma. Both are Sanskrit. Klesha means afflictive emotions. If the afflictive emotion and cognitive obscurations are ceased, then it will be the true cessation of the actions, the karma. Karma means the habitual patterns which are under the sway of the afflictions makes us oneself to say and do and think the misery. And now the true cessation is the true cessation of klesha, and therefore true cessation of a karma, because one is not ignorant. One is not ignorant what is the true, what needs to stop. So therefore, of the four facts of the truth of cessation, first is called cessation. It's a cessation or parting from the affliction, klesha, and parting from the symptoms and conduct of actions, negative actions. So one is no longer one has completely ceased the ignorance, thinking alcohol is good. One has now realized alcohol is not good, and so therefore one will not be addicted to the alcohol, let alone drinking alcohol and paying alcohol and then enjoying alcohol. And all of those, and now one is completely free. The person is completely free. He's free of alcoholism, he's free of whatever. And then some here in this sense, he's free of his enmity. He no longer has enmity to his father or his friend or his uncle or his whatever, because he knows that his enmity must be stopped. Previously there was a wrong view. His problem was his enemy out there. He didn't realize his enmity projected the existence of an enemy out there. So because now there is a true cessation of the enmity and the true cessation of the wrong view, therefore there is no arising of the action that is consummated under those enmity. Because of that, that is called truth of cessation. That's the first of the facts. So you have to be actually cognizant of what you have to stop, because cessation, nirodha, means stop. You have to actively do the stopping of the affliction. The stopper of the affliction is not affliction. So it is definitely a way, the wisdom, the manner, the discipline, the wisdom, and the discipline and the meditation, or whatever has empowered you to do that. So that has caused the cessation of the true origin of suffering. That's the klesha and karma. Second is pacification, peace. Shiva in Tibetan. So it means there is all the suffering has pacified. Yeah, you no longer talk about him being bad to you or what he did to you, and why? Because you no longer are doing the true. You're no longer doing. You have completely stopped. You have stopped the affliction and the action, because the affliction has stopped, and action, thoughts, words, and deeds are no longer doing. They're all pacified. They just subside. They disappear. There is a peace. That the affliction and with the karmic propensity of all of them has pacified. It's just like sudden disappearance of all the problems. So then there is complete peace. Now you have peace. Why? Peace means cessation. Give peace a chance means you have to stop doing the afflictions and actions and thoughts. You should stop when you stop the thought and afflictions, when you stop the thought that someone did this and I thought she loved me and now she doesn't love me, and thinking that her lack of love to you is the suffering. You no longer whinge like that anymore. You now know it's my wrong view. that should stop. Your wrong view has stopped, and so the wrong view instigated actions and thoughts and words are have pacified. So that's why. So it's not lack of lack of salvation, lack of peace. There is a peace. There is actual conscious act of pacification that is causing you, enabling you to have peace. They say peace of mind. Where do you get peace of mind? By becoming wealth, by desiring what you get, by getting what you desire. You think there is a temporary pleasure, but remember that this temporary pleasure is truth of suffering, suffering of change. So yeah, now you're not going after suffering of change, in the pursuit of suffering of change, in thinking it's a happiness. It's not. Now you know the suffering of change is perpetuation of the very suffering. And so you will be perpetuating the suffering, and will, because you're no longer doing the affliction. So because the affliction has been pacified, so remember, even the afflictions are impermanent, are unsatisfactory, not truly existing, not permanent. Give yourself that break. Then there is a peace. And not only that, even your objects of your desire or anger is unsatisfactory, does not truly exist. It's impermanent. It's not real. Think like that. Then you have an even greater chance of experiencing the pacification. This pacification is very sufficient. It brings you peace. You didn't realize this kind of a emotional reconstitution is the practice of Dharma. Practice of Dharma is not mumbling many mantras, or these are outer form of it, outer form of mantra prayers practice. But main thing is that you have to cause the true cessation is not completing the mantra so much, but try to stop, pacify the neurotic mind, poor me mind, poor how dare he do this to me mind. These kind of things has to be stopped. Then there is a pacification. So second is pacification. Right? First is cessation. Second aspect is pacification. When you have pacification, then there is a third is called superb result. It's beautiful result. I can call it. That's a beautiful result. Then they say Dharma is excellent. Dharma is a medicine. Dharma is a true protector. Yes. Then you quite a lot of us think, oh, Dharma is amazing. Yeah. When is Dharma amazing? When the cessation of your afflictions and wrong views and the thoughts and words and deeds takes place. That is the Dharma. Dharma is how you change and reconstitute your mind, and then you claim this superb, beautiful result, beautiful outcome. There is no better. These could not be bought with money. Yeah. There is no greater places you can go to. There's no greater friendship you can have that can substitute this. There's no greater place that you can go to. There is no better time than you can do this superb orientation of this amazing. So then you feel this incredible health and happiness. And then these are not the kind of contaminated happiness we're talking about. This is a cessation of anger. And the absence of anger is such a superb result. And cessation of the wrong view is such a superb outcome. And it's just like better than, that is you have hit the jackpot, So that is when you are able to stop the poor me. How dare he do? All of that. That's what you need to do. You have no greater height to climb, no greater speed to run, no greater place to be, no greater friend to find, no greater knowledge to pass, no greater examination to pass, no great time to wait than this superb result of attainment of love or kindness, forgiveness. You do not want to dwell in this resentment, enmity, and previously it was so devastating, such a destitution feeling. Now there's exact opposite of destitution. This amazing sense of abundance. Kyanum in Tibetan, Kyanum. Kyanum is the third factor of the quality of the truth of cessation. Is Kyanum. You feel completely abundant. You feel so abundantly rich. You do not crave or eye or envy anybody's possession and positions or looks or things when you have truly tasted the nectar. Yeah. Just imagine that. So, but to do that you have followed the path. If you follow the path, which is the cause, you get this result. So the result is the third noble truth. The third noble truth is the result, This is the result of liberation. Wow. And then the fourth one is, which is the fourth one is the definite emergence in Tibetan, Paranjungwa. So then, now this superb kind of outcome gives you this definite, you have reached, You have arrived, we can call sometimes. You have arrived, yes. You have been working so hard. You have been trying to go somewhere so much. You never reach there. You've been going round and round and round. Now this time you have completely succeeded. Completely succeeded meaning you have released, totally released from the fetter of samsara and samsara doing thoughts and actions. They all have come to a complete stop. And that stoppage is indescribably adequate. And this is called definite release. Definite release, so liberation, we call moksha. You have a real feeling of moksha, prati moksha. And people take vows in order to get this liberation. And the people have this wrong view, thinking they are better than somebody. They are judgmental to other people's vows or precepts or lack thereof. They're competitive with the equals. They're arrogant with the junior. They're jealous with the superior. Not that kind of pradimoksha. A lot of people observe few little miserable rules, and they think the others don't live by their rule. They think they got a reason to judge and put down and compete and jealous and envious and being critical and pass judgment. Not that kind of righteousness. These definite conviction, this renunciation. Renunciation here means this complete liberation. So you can see these are the true truth of cessation. Not the some early Indian schools used to think there is no liberation. They're just totally the materialists. There is no liberation. There is no nirvana. These days most materialists are like that, and so for them they don't see there is no life after. There is no liberation. There is no life after death. Those people who completely deny and nihilistic. Others who have this eternal heaven, they think they're all going to go one with God and they become heaven. You can't go to eternal. Eternal is no-go area, So these are kind of wrong views, So these are not truth of cessation. Or just realizing Atma, pure Sat self. You're realizing pure self they think that is the superb kind of outcome. That's as becoming one with Brahma or something like that. Not that kind of truth of cessation. So here, this truth of cessation is of course very, very highly sought after purpose and aim of the practitioner's right effort. So in this way, the truth of cessation, of course, truth of cessation is the highest, remember. Truth of cessation, we are not talking truth of cessation is just temporarily thinking you have no enmity to someone. Even temporarily, you can have such a breakthrough for a little while. But here we're talking about cessation is complete cessation. So this is referring to the great truth of cessation from the point of view of Shravakas, Pratyeka Buddhas, and truth of cessation of the Bodhisattvas. So we are not talking about individual, ordinary people's sudden shift and change of lack of enmity. Of course, these are reasonably good on a beginner's path of accumulation, path preparation level. There could be small, a kind of a accumulation of merit, and therefore dispersing of the dispersing of the obscuration, the karma, and affliction. From that point of view, I'm not saying that certain negative factors are not ceasing. They are definitely ceasing, but these are not true cessation. These are kind of a relative cessation. Say you may have a habit of always complaining about someone whenever you think about somebody. Years ago, you continue to do that. Now you realize after years of growth, this is such a futile reason to be doing that. I should not do that, and also people don't like me, and also you have this kind of a good manner of trying to restrain your habitual patterns from engaging in the same manner as before. So if you notice such a cessation, such a change, of course it is a very nice welcome to be able to modify your otherwise abrasive conduct, verbal conduct, or physical conduct, or mental attitude towards somebody. There's some kind of a peace, some kind of at least no sharp tongue or no kind of rude gestures, but still it's still there in the mind. But you have a complete. But nevertheless, you are no longer barking at them or complaining about them or negative about them, as you have somewhat pacified. And these are signs of people on the path of accumulation, and of course people on the path of preparation. So of course even beginners should see they're no longer beginners. Previously they never knew they were just beginners. They thought they were fairly advanced. But then the more they become a practitioner, they say, I'm still a beginner. So that kind of humility with which they see themselves as a beginner is definitely a cessation of the arrogance, But cessation of arrogance has been somewhat replaced by humility. Cessation of arrogance and judgment towards others has decreased and took a back step. But instead, the humility and humbleness of the person has somewhat advanced. So that could be also a marginally similar kind of I would say a token path of token truth of cessation, but not the true truth of cessation. True truth of cessation is only experienced by the Pratyeka, by the Shravaka Arhats and the Pratyeka Buddha Arhats and Bodhisattvas. And unless one has reached the bhumis and path of what we call, when we talk about the path of accumulation, path of preparation, they are not ideal truth of cessation. Yeah, but this doesn't mean that ideal truth of cessation can be reached by bypassing the relative truth of relative accumulation merit and path of preparation. You still have to do the path of accumulation and path of preparation on a relative level. Even on that level, you will see how much tamer, how much soft-spoken you have become, how much ill will you do not do anymore. You still do wrong view innately. You still have this kind of dualistic mind. So that shows that thought level is one thing, but behavior, physical, verbal level, there's amazing pacification, amazing taming of the elephant that may have taken place. But still, so that will be not regarded as a ideal truth of cessation. This is relative truth of cessation. So we must not sort of trivialize the relative truth of cessation. and any kind of a good manner replacing the bad manner, and selfishness that is replaced by selflessness, and sharp tongue replaced by soft spoken, and all of these, of course, are welcome kind of progress and a sign of change, because there is some degree of cessation, some degree of cessation of the aggression and the greed and wrong views. One now knows greed as greed, and one see that as poison. One now knows that ill will is ill will, and one now learns to take precaution from it. One now knows what is wrong view, and grasping to what you one did as truly existing is a wrong view. One sees that even the good that you have are not entirely made up by yourself. The good that you experience are largely due to the kindness and generosity of others. And even though you are very, very generous, you really, really give, but you still do not think of your generosity as at all. You see of your own lack of generosity, and so these things are very, very easy to see the symptoms of your progress along the path as you do. So in this way, we need to look at the truth of suffering, truth of the path, truth of the origin, as we did last week. Now the truth of cessation as a topic today. So one needs to see if there is any kind of what are the things that I need to highlight that need to be fixed. And so when there is not only fixing that happen, but also there is the effect of the fixed. You no longer have the arrogance towards somebody. You no longer have the resentment that you used to have on your best days of practice. You actually have a courtesy. You do have a humility that you show towards others than you were previously able to do. When you can see the remarkable shift in yourself, then there is a kind of a marginal cessation of the marginal truth of cessation. So previously that we try to stop him from being bad to you, you try to put a heavier order to somebody, the person does not do anything, he no longer come near you, harass you. That's not truth of cessation, okay? That is false. False. Do you think they are the cause of them not coming near you 5 meters, giving the order to, giving a kind of a apprehended violence order, what they call in the Australia, heavier order, being able to do that out of fear, out of enmity, and asking the police to do that and pay lots of money to the lawyer to have that done. Do you think that is truth of cessation? No. Wherever you go, you will have to put double lock. Wherever you go, you will never feel secure. Why? It's a false sense of cessation, false sense of security, because your own enmity, your own ill will, your own righteousness, that his or her aggression, his or her harassment is the true origin of suffering. They must be stopped by putting this order, is not true cessation. That is false sense of cessation of the problem. This is why the most sentient beings are completely darkened. They are blinded by their negativities. They do not know how to apprehend what needs to be stopped. Instead of what needs to be stopped, they try to stop something else. The flood is coming from here, but they are trying to put the flood. They try to build a flood wall over the opposite. That's exactly happening. So they call it in the West barking at the wrong tree. In Tibetan we call it casting the Dharma, casting the Dharma to the evil spirits, to the evil spirits of the north when the evil spirits is on the south. So instead of apprehending one's own demon of selfishness and ignorance, one is thinking that the problems and the difficulties that one is encountering is caused by some others. So always the point in the finger. The point in the finger thing, point in the finger, this kind of body language. You point the forefinger to the other, you point the thumb to the sky, and then the three other fingers you towards yourself. So actually means you are actually trying to blame somebody, but when actually the one you think it's somebody did it, but actually you have three blameworthy things hiding, and the one above knows it. This kind of body language shows. But a lot of the time we are always trying to prove that someone's wrong and put an order against them. This kind of ignorant, childish, deluded, dreaded with the false facts will never make the person able to make a breakthrough, because they have to be completely indoctrinated, redoctrinated, so to speak, to inform them that their views and opinions are all wrong. Why? Because they haven't understood the truth. They don't know the truth of origin. The true origin is their own afflictions, their own self-grasping, their own thoughts since consummated under that, their own action they took, their overreaction they did, and their tit for tat. They did how these things are perpetuating. They are not able to see them as a true origin of sufferings. So there's lots of litigation in people in the West. They engage so much. They try to save the name or clean the name or something, as the name has been dirty by someone's dirt throwing. You don't even exist, let alone that name. Yet one is so possessive about that clean name. And these kind of false views makes the person to engage in such a kind of a ruinous, unproductive acts, because they do not know what is the true cessation. True cessation is making peace from within oneself, acknowledging how everything is mistaken view. One should know I'm misguided by my wrong views. I'm unaware like before. May this be stopped. As a result of that, you are actually able to put a stop to your affliction and your cognitive obscuration as your cognitive obscuration. You actually say, I'm losing my mind. It's good to say that I'm losing my mind to anger, I'm losing my mind to jealousy, I'm losing my mind to the wrongdoing of other people. I'm so judgmental. I'm always very compulsive how everything should be. These kind of fanaticism and the wrong view in me, I'm losing myself to this. So you need to have such kind of mental orientation whereby you come to recognize that. Until you have that self-realization, it's very difficult to recognize true origin of one's own afflictions. Because to see affliction, you don't talk to another person in the name of a counselors or therapists. They will not teach you how to not do affliction. They will probably help you to exacerbate your affliction. Yes, you have been a victim. I can see how you've been treated. Oh, I can understand how you have been harmed all this time. You should be brave enough to do something against it. All this kind of false advice we think is a true advice. People pay a couple of $100 to get a 1 hour or when you're talking to some helpers. Of course, they are trying their best, but remember, these beings don't have the insight or vision. Even your brother, even your husband, even your uncle, however loving and caring and standing beside you they are, they're all deluded. They're only deludedly try to block you from seeing the true origin. They are not going to enable you to see the true origin of your own false true picture. They are trying to stand beside you as you are innocent, as you have no share of afflictions and self-grasping and anger and desire and craving, and they will never tell you that because they don't see any of that. Very few of them have the sight to see their way around. What kind of showing guidance they will do? No, they cannot show you that the true origin of your sorrow is going to be exacerbated by their attachment and possessiveness and just being biased to you because you are there such and such. Most of the time, all the help we think we're getting are actual harms. So you wish you never sought that kind of advice, when that is the true origin of suffering, was listening to this advice from your people who are attached to you, addicted to you. You are all biased against somebody without checking facts and true causes of the problem. And same goes with the other side, poor thing. And the other side also don't have any of the advice getting. They're also going to another solicitor. They're also going to another professional. They're only professional to make the things terrible, makes things worse and worse. So you need to have Dharma. You need to have the true eye-opener of the vision through meditation, mindfulness, and listening to the Buddha. Listening to the true advice of the enlightened ones. This kind of advice is called noble truth of the true origin of suffering. Noble truth of the true cessation of the suffering. Your true cessation is when you identify these wrong views, the ignorance, the desire that you're doing, the ill will that you're doing, the enmity that you're doing, that has gone far too long, and therefore it is well overdue that I must rise up, and this is no one. So therefore, what did the truth of cessation means? Buddha completely released himself from samsara by renouncing his palace, his family, his possessions, his positions, his youth, his comfort, his company, all the things, because he realized he has to become completely new. He has to be released from this bondage to self-importance. He realized his true usefulness is if he became a servant to others rather than the king of the world. He realized staying as a king is taking advantage of the thousands of his subjects and their hard-earned, and he didn't see any justification in doing that. So therefore, for him, all the things that he has became recognized as a condition for his attachment to them. So therefore, he need to renounce all of that. He renounced all his possessions, positions, and therefore, karmically, he renounced possessiveness and self-importance. Because of the actions of renunciation, there became definite emergence and release from the fetter of samsara. And therefore, he cut his hair, and then changed from royal clothing to the ordinary mendicant's clothing. And instead of living in a palace in company of all the royal family, he went and lived in the caves and the foot of a tree. Why? Because he renounced the true origin of suffering, that was craving, that was grasping, and ignorance of these two, how they cause all the action. He knew that so much so that he became so pacified, he became so contented just to live somewhere quiet by himself and let the mind reconstitute to get rid of its all past habitual patterns. When he was able to do that, he had this amazing sense of satisfaction, this amazing superb realization that he is now free of death, for he no longer longs for anyone's attention. He never complains anyone not paying attention. He never jealous of anybody paying attention to them and not them. He doesn't suffer any of that. So that is a true truth of cessation. Not only that, he started not drinking only one drop of water, one grain of rice a day, and slowly he become free of dependence on food, the attention, comfort, the association, the activities, and whereas we are not able to practice any of the above. We're constantly seeking. We're constantly seeking and wanting attention, wanting that you're important from somebody else, and try to secure your sense of truth of cessation like that. No, this is false sense of cessation, false sense of liberation. So that's why there's an incredible teaching is that the truth of cessation is when you have that, there's an amazing sense of liberation that you are now your sense of desire, craving, wanting all decreases by the day, and you actually you have more bliss and peace by not needing to want any of that. Yeah, it doesn't mean that you don't need, but when others have, you have aversion to them. Yeah, I can't stand all those people who are greedy people around. No, you do not have those enmity to those. You can see them as just as what we used to be, only not so long ago. We too used to be like that, and then feel sympathy for them. Until they too hear the true Dharma, until they too real gain hearing, until they too regain their sight, they will remain in that state as I used to be lost in the samsara. So there is no enmity and ill will and aversion towards others, even though you have made reasonable changes within yourself. You do not have this kind of aversion to sentient beings with sufferings, sentient beings with problems. They don't change. You treat them with compassion, not with contempt. Why? Because you know the truth of cessation really, what truth of cessation really constitute. In this way, of course, when one might not be near yet path of seeing, but you definitely must be on the path of preparation and path of accumulation for sure. You are engaging in your practice faithfully as the traditional teachings has been given. You have received this practice, you have received this mantra, you actually go and do those practices to boost your pacification, boost your sense of supreme realization, and you're completely free. You no longer do drugs. You no longer do craving. You no longer want things. You no longer desiring some things. You are so much contented with simple few things, and you try to delight yourself by being useful, generous friend to others. So therefore, this is a good news. Truth of cessation is what we want to know, because that's a recovery. So with this in mind, people need to really be enticed to understand these Four Noble Truths a little bit more in depth. What I have just spoken is, of course, not depth, it's just the tip of the iceberg. But when you start to boost your quality of discipline and meditation and wisdom in hearing these things and then comprehending these things and then remaining mindful, so that you can guard your thoughts from this craving and wanting and neediness, that is what you need to retreat from. You may go to somewhere quiet, but still you are not in retreat. You need to retreat from these thoughts, these kind of indulgences. Then there is a truth of cessation happening. So with this, we will conclude here. Thank you very much, everyone. I'll catch you over next week on the fourth Noble Truth of the Path. Thank you. Bye-bye.